Grand Slam track Philly is in the books. It is done. I said it yesterday. This was so much better than Miami. Way better than Kingston. Shout out to the cities, but like Grand Slam track Philly, they really showed up. The city showed up. The people showed up. Like both grandstands on that side as well as on that side, they were packed. And I love the 2-day format that they've condensed things to. I know they lost the 5K, but like it just made things so much more energetic, and like they got to come back to Philly. They honestly might have to come back to Philly. This was a good city. Now, let me talk about some of the results, and then I'll kind of give my reflections just being on the ground here. Of course, I think the highlight of the meet on the sprints and hurdle side was Melissa Jefferson-Wooden. For her to run 10.73 seconds in the 100 meters, moving her to equal number 10 all time. I think tying with Christine Aron, who ran, that same time all the way back in 2003. Comment section, y'all can fact check me, representing France. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is absolutely on one this year. Like, it's hard to say that anyone, yes, it's easy to say that someone could beat her. I mean, Julian Alfred is there, Sha'Carri Richardson could start to turn up, all these women, but Melissa Jefferson is gaining so much confidence coming off a 21.99 in the 200, beating Gabby Thomas, the Olympic champion, then going into the 100 and running 10.73, where Tamari Davis was the closest person and she didn't even break 11 seconds. She ran 11.0. Melissa Jefferson, like this is huge. Grand Slam track is really doing Melissa Jefferson well, and she is taking advantage of this opportunity. Her execution in that race was beautiful. From the blocks, we know that she's an excellent starter. She got out excellent, separated from the field, maintained throughout the whole way, crossed the line, 10.73 seconds. Again, number 10 all time. She spoke about afterwards how she's been using Grand Slam track in these meets as she's training through during each of the months, right, from month to month, and then using these, coming in and really, taking the meet seriously to be able to get some race and some races in, and then going back to the lab to get some practice, and then, just using that as a cycle as she kind of leads into USA's. And she's in some great form where it's going to be hard to see 3 people actually beat her at USA's. And then at that point, it's going to be hard to say 3 people are going to beat her at the World Championships. The conversation on, is Melissa Jefferson the top woman right now? I don't know. It's tough to say, right? Because you do have Julian Alfred, who's, she's run 21.8. She hasn't run the 100 meters yet this year, but she is, in some great form. I do think that Melissa and Julian, you can probably say that they're slightly even when talking about, the 100 meters right now, but I would still say maybe Julian Alfred is a slight, kind of favorite if you want to give one. But Melissa is really picking things up, and she's slowly becoming, if not already, one of my favorite athletes, probably should be one of your favorite athletes as well. And she said she's going to double at USA's, and she has a good shot to make both teams. Of course, the 100, maybe even the 200 as well. So keep a lookout for Julian Alfred to see what she's able to do. But in the men's 100, Kenny B is the best sprinter in the world right now. When you're talking about the 100 and 200 combined, I don't care about the time. I mean, he's run 9.86 seconds, personal best here in Philly. But just a combination of everything that he's been doing, his consistency in all his sprint events, in all these Grand Slam track races, coming here, dominating the races. He ran 9.86 seconds. Second place was Brian Lavelle, who ran 10 seconds. Literally did not break 10. So him in the 200 as well, he ran, 19.95. Second place was Arnold Hughes, who ran 20.50. So Kenny B is dominating these races in a way that's really hard to comprehend. And we know that Kenny B is able to really maintain throughout an entire season. Last year, remember, he ran, I think it was 19.6 at the Doha Diamond League, or it might have been 19.5. Someone could cross-check me. But that was early in the season. He gets the Olympic Games, wins the silver medal, and then he also still, runs personal best afterwards at the Diamond League. So I'm not worried about Kenny Bednarek in any capacity, and I really, really feel at this moment, especially coming off that 100, that he is the best sprinter in the world. Now, you do have Akani Simbine, who has been very consistent in the 100s, but I think that Kenny B is putting together a string of races that is going to be very, very hard to match. Check out the Citius Mag podcast, as we just did a recap show, and me and Chris Chavez were talking about how does Noah Lyles kind of approach USA's going into this year, because he has a wild card, but he does have to compete at USA's. So does he run the 100 or the 200 or maybe a different event, or maybe he only runs one round of the 100, one round of the 200 and then pulls out, right? Maybe he goes that approach, but it'll be interesting to see if we actually do get Kenny versus Noah prior to the World Championships. Just like I was saying, it'll be interesting to see if we get Kenny versus Akani Simbine prior to the World Championships as well. I don't know if we do get that. Kenny's going to, of course, run Grand Slam Track Los Angeles. Then he'll run Prefontaine, where he'll run the 200, hopefully versus, let's see, Litobojo there. But, man, Kenny B is absolutely on one, and he's putting together a season that is hard to, I don't know. It's really, really hard to comprehend how dominant Kenny B is, and his confidence is through the roof. So shout out to Kenny B. These are just my initial reactions, so I don't have like an in-depth kind of like detailed breakdown, but I'm just loving what I'm seeing from Kenny. Now, a couple other races that we did see on the docket. We saw the women's short hurdles. Akira Nugent swept 100-meter hurdles, 100-meter dash, got the win over Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. She ran 11.1, Akira Nugent, so backing up the performances that she ran, in Miami with the 11.09. She is not going to be running at the LA Grand Slam track meet because she does have to go to Jamaican trials, but she feels confidence. Of course, we got interviews with her, but I spoke to her a little bit afterwards, and she's just feeling confident. Like, she's letting things go. She's letting things kind of like smoothly go into trials, and she's gonna deliver. I'm excited to see how how Akira Nugent, goes to trials and really shows up there. So shout out to Akira Nugent. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, second place. She didn't get a great start. Akira Nugent kind of left her in the blocks, like really left her in the blocks. But I think this was a really overall good weekend for Sydney in the 100 hurdles. And then in the 100, 11.4 seconds. Someone could fact check me. I apologize. I'm forgetting the exact time, but, nothing too special in terms of time. But I think this gives her a little bit of confidence going into the next slam, where she's likely going to face Marlita Paulino, where she's likely going to face, Saweed Nasser. Maybe Gabby Thomas is going to step things up there as well. I think this gives her confidence because Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone dropped down into a competition where she is not the favorite. She didn't, become a slam champion. She didn't win any of her races, which is the first time this is happening in a very, very long time. So it's kind of like bringing her down, to ground level in a sense, and saying, all right, this is what it feels like to, have to really push myself, to have to really respond to someone who's in front of me. Now, when I dip back up into the 400 and when I go into that 200, now I'm gonna be ready. So shout out to Sydney for really, taking a stab at things, dropping down into an event that she's not familiar with, and, showing up. She was really excited with the weekend overall, and she was just happy with how everything went. So shout out to Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. What else did we have? We had the men's short hurdle. Shout out to Jamal Britt getting the win overall there. He got second place in the 100. Trey Cunningham, of course, won the race, but Jamal Britt got the overall after winning the 110 hurdle. So Jamal Britt, unsponsored, running with Tracksmith. Get this guy a sponsor, just like all the people we've been talking about. Got 100K. I did like the men's long hurdles, where we saw Trevor Bassett kind of upset the field in a sense, where Alisson Dos Santos, he was the favorite going in. And we thought that he'd probably win the 400, but Trevor Bassett, he dominated this race. Not dominated, let me not say that. On the inside, he kind of like crept up on the field. Alisson Dos Santos and Chris Robinson were on the outside, and they were running well. But then we did see, Trevor Bassett really pull things off. Got the 100K, winning the overall slam. This is his second Grand Slam track meet where, he ran in Miami, but Trevor Bassett is on one. He just signed a professional contract with Adidas early in the year, in about April or so. And now he's a Grand Slam track champion. Again, me and Chris Chavez, we were talking about how you can argue that Trevor Bassett is the most consistent American in the 400-meter hurdles outside of Rai Benjamin. Made the team in 2022 and actually got the the bronze medal at the World Championships in Eugene. He then made the team in 2023, once again, made it into the final, which was one of the fastest semifinals in the history of the World Championships in Budapest there. Then in 2024, he made it to the Olympic Games, and he didn't make the final, but the consistency is there. And it's going to be hard to see anyone actually take down Trevor Bassett. Well, at least three people, right? Rai Benjamin, of course, is going to be there, but then I don't know. Is anyone else going to take down Trevor Bassett at USA's? It's going to be tough to see. So I'm excited to see how he kind of does continue on and play out through 2024-5. Women's long hurdles, you did have the 400 meters there. That was such a mixed race, but shout out to Jasmine Jones winning the overall slam. This was her first competition of 2025, and she got second in the 400 hurdles and then second in the 400. So and she did pretty well. This was her first 400 meters ever. Like, Jasmine Jones coming off 4th place at the Olympic Games, just missing the podium. She's in some good form going into 2025. And it's easy to forget that, again, she got 4th place at the Olympics, and she's the 5th fastest woman of all time in the 400 meter hurdles, right, after what she did last year. So I'm excited to see how she does kind of continue in 2025. Anna Cockrell is in some really good form, so like in the hurdles at least. So, you know, we'll see how she does kind of progress. But Jasmine Jones, do not sleep on Jasmine Jones and what she's capable of. So excited to see that. Also, the men's long sprints, Matthew Hudson-Smith, he pulled off the overall win by getting the 400, and then he finished down in 5th place in the 200. So I didn't predict that very well. I thought he'd be able to do a little bit better there. But, you know, it is what it is. He got the overall slam. Alexander Ogando, shout out to him. Check out the interview that we put up on Citius Mag. I was asking about Alex Ogando. I'm truly interested because he trains with Felix Sanchez, of course, 2-time Olympic champion in the 400 meter hurdles from 2004 as well as 2012. And Alex was talking about how he's been running these 400s to build up some of that strength, you know, for the 200. He feels confident about going to the World Championships and potentially getting a medal in that 200. Alex Ogando is someone not to be slept on, so don't sleep on his capabilities. Also, quickly, circle back. Let me just note, Brian Lavelle, I did underestimate Ya. He got 2nd place in the 100. Shout out to him. He did amazing here in the 100. Jamaican fans, shout out to Ya. I put the interview up on Citius Mag as well, so you can check that out. But I think after that, we just had Marlita Paulino in the women's 400 where, you know, she got the overall win in both the 200 and the 400, such a dominant, you know, race. Going into LA, do you think that anyone is going to be able to beat Marlita Paulino in this 400 and the 200? Obviously, she'll, you know, she's going to be going up against Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. She's going to be going up against Gabby Thomas, Sawi Nasser. There'll be a couple people there, but I don't actually know because of how consistent she's been just displaying, right? You're talking about undefeated last year in 2024. You're talking about only losing, you know, one race here in 2025, and now she looks like she is on fire. So let me know, do you think that Marlita Paulino is going to lose to Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone or to Sawi Nasser or to Gabby Thomas when we get to LA, right? In the 400 specifically. 200, you know, maybe Gabby Thomas or Sydney is going to take that, but overall slam, Paulino is looking good. So overall, that was a Grand Slam track in Philly. Quick reaction. I'm going to probably, you know, go through a couple other highlights maybe throughout the rest of the week. We got a couple other things, but let me know what you think. This was crazy. This was crazy. Stands behind me, those were packed. All right, let me know what you think. Always appreciate y'all.